All right, guys. So, this is titled Experiment 16. It's from an older lab book. It's the standardization of a basic solution, and then we're going to determine the molar mass of an acid. So there's two parts to the experiment, and my hair is wild because it was like a freaking sauna upstairs during lecture this morning. Okay, so Megan has already set up everybody's station. You have all the glassware you need. You have your two burettes on a burette stand. Most of you will have at least one funnel. I've got to try to find, I have two up here. I have several. We just got to make sure they'll fit in your burette, okay? So then she even went as far as to write on this first board what all your glassware is and what you're going to use it for. So if you use your 10 mil cylinder for NaOH, that means you don't have to wash that 10 mil cylinder every time you use it. Same for your 50 and your 100. Okay. You're going to get the 6 molar NaOH. I believe that's the very first thing it tells you to do. One partner needs to do that while the other cleans the burettes, okay? So the 6 molar NaOH, it's on the rolling part. Sorry, I'm walking and talking. The acid is going to be under the hood. Let me tell you something about the acid. So I have to standardize the acid the same way you're standardizing the base, okay? So right now I have 2 jugs sitting under the hood. Both of them have the exact molarity of each acid. When you get your acid, make sure that there's at least 75 milliliters, because that's how much the procedure tells you to get. And put in your Erlenmeyer flask. Make sure there's at least 75 before, well, I mean, obviously you'll pour it and you'll notice if you're less than 75. If it's less than 75, let's not use it, because we're not going to have another acid with that exact same molarity, okay? So you don't want to have to drain all your acid, completely wash your acid burette, and start over in the middle of your experiment. So just make sure that there is enough acid in the acid bottle that you obtain. Do not waste this acid. You do not understand the time and effort it takes to standardize these acids, okay? So don't waste them. All right, so sorry. The first paragraph under Part A, standardization of the sodium hydroxide solution, says into a graduated cylinder, yada, 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 you're preparing your NaOH solution, okay? You're preparing that solution, and the whole purpose of this part of the procedure is to figure out the exact molarity, okay? So one partner needs to go ahead and start preparing that NaOH solution when you get to the lab. The other partner moves on to the second part. That's where you're getting your standardized acid, 75 mils. Make sure you write down the exact molarity of the acid that you got, because again, there will be several bottles. They will all have a different molarity, okay? Then, once you've done that, partner, you're going to go ahead and be cleaning both of your burettes. You do not have to use soap and water to clean these burettes. They've already been soap and watered, okay? All you're doing is you're rinsing them with distilled water, and your 2 solutions. So let's focus on just doing the acid one real quick. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and rinse it with a few portions of distilled water. So you'll have 2 beakers at your station, and each will be under your burettes. I hope y'all can see that. Okay, so to start with, I'm going to get just a bottle of distilled water, and I'm going to run it through each of these burettes. You'll notice that my burette is open because this stopcock is parallel to the burette itself. If I wanted to close it, I would make it perpendicular to the burette, okay? So I'm just letting water drain through it, distilled water. I'm going to do the same thing with my acid burette or base, whichever one you're working on at the term. And I'm just filling them up and letting them drain. Once you have done this, you're going to rinse one burette at a time, but you're going to do it a total of 3 times with a few milliliters of whatever solution you're putting in these burettes, okay? So you're going to be doing your acid this go around. My acid burette is taking a little bit to drain. The good thing about having to do this, it gives you time to play with the burette, and it lets you know if it's working right. I'm sure I got the bad burette, or one that doesn't drain good. Any day now. Okay, so I've put out pipettes on the rolling cart for you to do your rinse. So I'm going to put my funnel in my burette. Helps if you're a little tall. If you can't reach it, you can get a step stool and step on your step stool. Just be careful. All right, so I'm putting a little bit of my reagent in, and as of right now, I'm just I'm leaving my stopcock open, and I'm just letting it run through. Okay, I'm going to do that 2 more times. And 3. Thank you, ma'am. If you'll just set it there, I'll get it. Then once you have done it 3 times, now you're going to close the stopcock once it drains out. So I'm going to close my stopcock, and now I'm going to pour the reagent into my burette. So funnel is in top of my burette. You'll notice that these burettes read 0 from top down to 50 at the bottom. All right, so initially you want to fill it a little above the 0 mark for this next part, okay? So I filled it, it is above the 0 line. Let's see. Fill the burette, open the stopcock to fill the tip. So I'm going to do that. I'm just gonna open it a little bit. Okay, so now it is full in the tip. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to drain enough out so that I'm reading at 0 or pretty close to it. I don't want it above 0 because I don't know what that volume is, okay? So again, stand on a step stool if you need to. Mine's about 0.1. And you want to be as precise as possible with these readings. Okay, now you're going to do the exact same thing with your other reagent. So if that was the acid, now we're going to do base. Okay, so let me go get another pipette. My funnel in, and I'm just going to rinse this 3 times, stopcock open. This is the one that takes forever. Or it's taking forever for me because my I'm having a burette malfunction. All right, I'm going to pause it for just a second while I go get a new burette. Guys, I got my burette working. We good to go. All right, so once we have prepared the NaOH solution, one partner was doing that, other partner was getting our burettes set up. We rinsed them with distilled water. We rinsed them with the reagent. Now I have filled both of them. I filled them a little above 0, then I drained it down just a little bit under 0 or right at 0. And now you are going to record, read and record the levels in the 2 burettes to the 100th decimal place. So that's where you're going to go to your data sheet, record your initial reading of your HCl burette, your acid burette, initial reading of NaOH burette. Okay. Then I go back. Second paragraph on page 119 tells me to draw about 25 mils of HCl solution from the burette into an Erlenmeyer flask. I'm doing this backwards, so. All right, so I'm gonna put my Erlenmeyer flask under my acid burette, and I'm going to drain 25 mils into this Erlenmeyer flask. So I just opened it and I'm letting it go until it gets close to 25. Okay, and I stop it. It's not exactly at 25, but that's okay. We're gonna record the actual volume in a minute. All right, so once you've added your 25 mils of your acid, now you're adding to that 25 mils of distilled water. Oh, I'm spraying myself. Oh, good. You know, the first thing I should do is I should put on some goggles. Okay. And look to make sure I've got 25 mils of water. I'm pouring it into my Erlenmeyer flask with the acid I just added. Then it tells me to put 2 to 3 drops of phenolphthalein into my flask. The phenolphthalein will be sitting in the middle, so you and the lab group next to you will share. So 1, 2, 3. All right, you do not want this. What not to do. So I put my base in here, not my acid. So yours will not look like this. This phenolphthalein, it's a color indicator, and it tells you once you've reached your equivalence point. This, yours is going to be clear, okay? Clear. Yours will look like this, okay? Once you start adding base, you will see little pink drops appear, but they'll disappear, okay? You are going to keep adding NaOH to your flask until you get a light pink color and it does not fade for at least 30 seconds. This, you've gone too far. What you have to do if you reach this point is you have to back titrate, meaning you have to go add more acid until it returns to clear. Then you have to go back and add base until you get that light pink color. That is why we did not record the actual volume of actual volume of acid you added to your flask. Just a second ago, I told you to add 25 mils, but I never told you to record that volume. The reason I didn't tell you to do that is because if you have to back titrate, that volume is going to change again, okay? So once you have reached the end point, that is when you are going to record the final volumes of both burettes, okay, onto your data sheet. Then you are going to do it 2 more times. But instead of dumping all of this out and starting over, you're just going to add 10 more milliliters of your acid to your already pink solution, light pink solution. Then you're going to go with your base till you get light pink again. Record both burettes' final volume. You do it 1 more time. Go add 10 more mils of acid. Go back to your base. You're doing this 3 times. Your goal is to get at least 2 molarities that agree within 1% of each other. If you don't do that, you cannot go on to part B. Okay? If you don't get 2 molarities that are within 1% of one another, ask me, your lab instructor, or your TA what you need to do next. If you do, then you can go on to part B. This time in part B, you are going to use the base that you just standardized. So you just figured out the exact molarity of the base that partner created in the very beginning of this experiment. Now you're going to create an acid, and you're going to standardize that acid. But the whole point of standardizing it is so that you can find the molar mass, okay? So I think really the hard part is just learning how to operate the burettes, getting them set up, then not passing your endpoint. So once the pink color stays around a while, but then it disappears, that's when you should be adding drop by drop by drop, okay? Because you're getting really close to that endpoint and you don't want to go over, because then you got to back titrate. You got to add more acid, then you got to go back to the base. Okay, I hope all this makes sense. So my Tuesday crew, Y'all be doing this tomorrow. If I see of anything that I need to add to this, I'll just make another video. But it'll be after my Tuesday group does it and we see what we need to do. Okay, y'all be sure to watch this, read through the procedure, make your own notes if necessary, be prepared. You've graduated from Chem 1. I want you to be a better student and person. I'm trying to train you. All right, have a good week.